championships. Today, we'll punch 2 tickets to championship weekend. Penn hasn't been to the national semifinals in 34 years. Rutgers has never been there. Later today, an all-Ivy League affair between Yale and Princeton, and then 2 games tomorrow, Cornell, Delaware, and Maryland and Virginia in a championship rematch from last season. And good afternoon, Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra. Normally we would be joined by our pal Quint Kesnick. Q is not here with us today. He is with his family after the sudden passing of his brother this past week. And I think I speak on behalf of you and I, the entire lacrosse community. Quint, we're thinking of you. We miss you. We love you.
When I think of NCAA college lacrosse in the month of May in the tournament, I think of Quint's voice, I think of his presence, and he's missed.
Yeah. And Q always talked about growing the game, right? Growing the game. And what's interesting about our game, we've got 2 stars coming from the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, here in Long Island.
If you told me 20 years ago the 2 featured players on this field in a quarterfinal matchup would be from the state of Oregon, I would have thought you were crazy. But for Rutgers, it all starts with Ross Scott. They were in desperate need of a quarterback, a guy to establish the offense coming to the season. He delivered with a knockout punch. He carted a snowman against Harvard a week ago with the 8 goals. He's only 2 away from a single season record for goals at Rutgers on the banks with 50. He's been explosive. He's only 5'9", but he's 176 pounds. With his hockey background, he's stout, he's strong, and never gets pushed around.
The 8 goals last week against Harvard, 1 shy of a single game NCAA tournament record. On the flip side, Penn's got Sam Handley, larger than life, an American tall tale. This is Paul Bunyan with a lacrosse stick.
6'5", 230, and he plays much bigger. What makes him so special is he's an outlier in this NCAA tournament. He's a quarterback from the midfield. Everyone generates offense from behind. Penn does it with their star midfielder, Sam Handley, the Ivy League Player of the Year. He can beat you in so many ways, Anish. His skill set, size, strength combo is like nothing in college lacrosse right now.
He's a midfielder, and he is closing in on Penn's single season points record, 5 away from tying the mark. Penn and Rutgers last met back in 1986. Tony Seaman and Tom Hayes were the coaches in that matchup.
It's crazy when you think about it, and Penn went to the national semifinals in 1988. There's Coach Mike Murphy. Rutgers has never been to the Final Four, Nish.
For both of these teams, the semifinals has been that runaway American dream. Penn 1-7 all-time in the quarterfinals. Rutgers 0-7. Brian Brecht has one of the most veteran teams in the country, 27 seniors and grad students combined. They have done well in the transfer portal, 15 transfers. Rutgers looking to punch its ticket to East Hartford. Penn looking to get there for the first time since 1988. The face-off is set. Jonathan Duhenio for Rutgers in black, and Jamie Susai, the senior, for Penn in the whites. The winner of this game will get either Cornell or Delaware in next week's national semifinal, and Penn wins the opening faceoff. Susai lost his stick. Rutgers keeps it in bounds, and a frantic start. It comes to Penn almost, and now it does. Kark, something to watch today. The temperature, a lot warmer than it was for both of these teams last week. So what does that mean in terms of depth and durability?
Rutgers has more depth. They want to run. Penn will beat you in the half-field offense. If it's a full-field track meet, I favor Rutgers. Half-field, I favor Penn.
James Shipley beating Ben Smith, the hero last week. And the backup won by the Rutgers goalie, Colin Kirst, the fierce senior, a captain, and he was sensational last week in the win against Harvard.
And he's got big game experience. Last year against North Carolina in this same round, Rutgers lost in overtime. Kirst was magnificent.
In 3 career NCAA tournament games, Kirst has stopped 2/3 of his shot. We get the first save for Patrick Birkinshaw, who might be the hottest goalie in this tournament. Penn out and running from the wing, shot blocked off the cross of Cam Rubin. And a ground ball won by Rutgers.
Credit Bobby Russo, 88 in black, to stretch out against Rubin, 12 in white, who loves the left hand from deep.
Here comes Shane Knobloch all the way. Nobody picked him up, but he missed the cage. And Ross Scott will trigger for Rutgers, 5 in black. 8 goals last week. He's closing in on the school record for goals in his season. He's at 48. The school record is 50. Ronan Jacoby, former D3 All-American. Patrick Birkinshaw, the Virginia transfer, in goal for Penn. He's picked up his play immensely since the start of the Ivy League tournament. Jacoby has the short stick, draws the slide. Skip pass over the head of Mitch Bartolo, over and back. Bartolo, 4 in black for Rutgers, a former Penn captain and one of the 15 Scarlet Knight transfers.
It's got to be a tough game for him to trot out on this field against his former teammates, but he spoke to Sean Lully at Duke right now, who played for Penn.
Here comes Sam Handley. And that one off the side of the net. Like a triceratops coming at you downhill. Rutgers attacking from X. That's another save by Birkinshaw. It'll reset the shot clock. For those new to lacrosse, change of possession triggers an 80-second shot clock. If a goalie saves it or if it goes off the pipe and the attacking team recovers the ball, the shot clock resets to 60 seconds. Feet in front, shot, and that is offline. B.J. Farrar near the end line as Penn will set up its clear. Interestingly enough, something to watch today. Penn turns it over a lot, but Rutgers isn't the type of team that's really going to challenge you bringing it upfield.
This is a big matchup. 40 in white, Dylan Gergar. Fantastic righty scorer against Gene Felix. 81 in black. That is a big-time matchup that will help establish the half-field tempo of this game. Gene Felix has been covering everyone's #1 on the attack spot, but you also have to deal with Sam Handley.
Caleb Fernandez. Now it's Handley, and he's got a short stick. Slide coming quickly, and he's picked up on the switch. Bobby Russo. Family owns that great Italian restaurant in Bound Brook, New Jersey. Ben Smith, 24 in white, 5 goals last week against Richmond, including the game winner and the game tying goal. Comes back to Handley. Cause turnover. Here's Russo in transition.
This is big for Rutgers. If I'm Rutgers, I want to trap Sam Handley here. 26 in white. They want to play him almost every possession. If you could tire him out on defense, this is what you want to do if you're Rutgers.
And we've seen this all season with Penn. This doesn't happen as often as you would think. Scott slips coming around X, plays it back to Jacoby. Still no score, 5 minutes in.
See, if I'm Rutgers there, I'm playing 5-on-5. I'm keeping him on the field.
Bounce shot is offline. Rutgers will keep it. Handley runs off. Rutgers 0 for 5 to begin.
It's 90 degrees plus on the turf. Tire out the superstar.
Here comes Bartolo, the former Penn Quaker. Bartolo's got a hammer and a save by Birkinshaw. That is 4 already for Patrick Birkinshaw.
Bartolo is not afraid to let it fly. He shot the ball 18 times in a game this season. The Penn transfer I mentioned earlier, I said he was speaking with Sean Lully, who played at Penn. and was at Duke this season and asked him for some advice in terms of the mental approach to the matchup.
He told us yesterday, hey, it wasn't personal. He just didn't have any eligibility at Penn. He couldn't play at Penn this year. Mike Murphy helped him transfer to Rutgers. He's friends with Ben Bedard and Jack Schultz and a number of guys on this team, close friends of his. He mentioned, yeah, it would be a little awkward as Gabe Fury slips. And we've seen a few guys slip already with footing. Shot clock resets. They call a loose ball foul on Rutgers. We're seeing Penn use some more depth early. Here's Robert Shane. Only 3 career goals. Junior out of Potomac, Maryland, and now Ben Smith. Handley not out there. Shane missed the cage. Shot clock at 35, still plenty of time for Penn. A Quaker team that has been the best entertainment dollar in the game this season. 7 of Penn's 15 matchups have been decided by 1 goal.
And they'll play anyone, anywhere.
Smith loses his man, gets top side and missed the cage. Still no score. Almost midway through this first quarter.
Smith's play is big, Anish, because Tynan Walsh, who is establishing himself as kind of one of those dual threat attackmen, feed and score, he's out now.
James Shipley offline. We're told Shipley is close to 100%. He did not play in the Ivy League Championship. He was limited last week against Richmond, an elite dodger from the midfield. Shane trying to scoop this up. Shot clock expires. Flag down. Yeah, this may be on Rutgers. Interference looks to be the call.
Black 81, interference, 30-second technical. 81, black, interference, 30 seconds, reset to 60.
That's a backbreaker with the shot clock running down to get called for that flag. And they get Jared and Gene Felix, the all Big Ten defender.
Exactly. You're playing good defense. Buckling down, 90 degrees on the turf. With this Penn extra man unit, it's really complicated because you have Sam Hanley, who everyone is petrified of at the top, 26 and white. But you have a righty shooter in Gergar, and then you have the lefty shooter in Rubin.
And a save by Kirst. That was Penn's first shot on goal. They have missed the cage on their first 6 attempts. And now Rutgers will set up the clear.
Big save by Kirst. You don't want to go man down against Penn. They have the tools to beat you. Balanced shooting on both sides of the offensive frame, and a quarterback in Sam Hanley.
2 battle-tested teams, 2 veteran teams. Rutgers played on Long Island a season ago in the quarters. Lost in overtime to the 1 seed in North Carolina. The last time Penn competed for a full season, 2019, they lost in the quarters to Yale in overtime. Bounce shot wide by Jacoby. The Quakers a whisker away from championship weekend 3 years ago.
I love running Jacoby's game. 8 and black. Grad transfer from Wesleyan Division III. He can score with the left hand.
Another shot, that one wide.
Look at Penn right now. They're going to flush Jacoby to his right. He's a 2-handed power cradle guy. 35 goals from the midfield between him and Bartolo, who's had 40 plus. Dangerous duo.
Scott gives it up. Shot clock down to 12. Rutgers coming around from X. Shot clock down to 4. That one offline as well. Rutgers now 0 for 9, only 3 seconds to go. Let's see if they roll this in the corner. And they will. There is some good news for Penn. We told you James Shipley is healthier. We're told they'll also get Brendan Lavelle, their top defender, back. He had been out the last 4 games due to an off-field issue. He has not started. We have not seen him yet, but he's expected to play.
And that's huge because then you can put B.J. Farrar who's I think your most dynamic guy defensively, #1 in white, back at the long stick midfield position. He gives you some transition, and he can lock down one of the Rutgers midfielders.
Right now, Farrar playing close defense. Hanley beats his man, feeds the wing. Bedard, saved by Kirst.
Kirst will eat that up all day long. That is too easy for the veteran in the cage.
He and Ross Scott, who had the 8 goals last week, they're roommates. Get that big cup of Joe, handcrafted every morning as Scott misses wide. Coffee's for closers,
yes,
right?
It is for closers. You were hard on them yesterday when he told you he was, drinking some brands that maybe were below your level. You kind of gave him a jab. He's a college kid.
I told him, I said, the story was, hey, he likes the handcrafted coffee every morning. And I said, explain to me how you do this. And, well, sometimes it's Dunkin', sometimes it's Starbucks. He didn't say Folgers.
My grandmother drank Folgers.
First goal of the game, it's Ross Scott. He built a snowman last week, and he gets the scoring started on Long Island.
You've got the veteran in the cage. Colin Kirst has always brought his A game when the stakes were high. He did it last year in this same round on this same field against North Carolina. You give it to the hot hand, the Oregon native. The quickness at X, he delivers. Rutgers is up by 1.
Tell the world you are here.
Want to manage COVID? Just pay for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
That's our next
new option. Local Chevy
Was the marquee. He was the showstopper. 8 goals in a Rutgers run. Penn, they didn't have it so easy against Richmond.
Well, Sam Hanley garners all the attention for a reason because he's the top midfielder in college lacrosse by a country mile. But Ben Smith, the freshman, delivered with 5 goals, including this game winner, to advance to the quarterfinals and a touch closer to championship weekend.
The Quakers 11-4. They ride in on a 7-game win streak. 4 of their losses, they're all close. 3 by a goal, and they lost by 2 to Georgetown. Zusai wins the faceoff. Rutgers attacks him, and we get a flag. Remington Reynolds tried to stick check it away. They get a slash here.
Black, 25, slash, 1 minute.
Take a look here. Just hacking away.
Yeah, it's 26. They said 25. I think it's 26. France Kowiak.
Who's a veteran defensive midfielder with the short stick out of the state of Utah.
25 years old. He served a 2-year LDS mission in St. Petersburg, Russia. Gergar's been dangerous on the man up. 40 in white. Fires from the wing. Kirst reads it all the way.
See how pumped he is? He's fist pumping. When you're a goalie, you make those 2 big initial stare down type saves. The confidence.
Kark, we talk a lot about the Rutgers NASCAR offense, but they pick their spots when they run. Normally it's off a goalie save. Obviously you're not going to do it man down. But Rutgers, when it runs, it usually starts with the netminder.
It does. He's the trigger in all of this. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a little overrated in terms of how
it's a
fast
misnomer, yes. Yeah.
I don't think they are the running gun of, say, a Brown or a Virginia. They've played really fast in the past where they've had that
but
reputation.
They don't ride you like a Yale.
It's not frantic.
Ryan Gallagher, 34 in black, over to Shane Knobloch. Big Ten Rookie of the Year a season ago, now a sophomore. Here's Jacoby. Back to X. Scott is so dangerous.
See the stick protection too. Rarely gets trail checked.
Knobloch. And Brian Cameron, the backup. Big day for the Cameron family. His brother Sean will take the field later for Princeton. Cameron, who's usually left-handed dominant, going to the right hand there. North Carolina transfer. Shot clock violation on Rutgers, so Penn will get it back. Only one goal. It's been a slow start. Both teams have missed the cage quite a bit in this opening quarter.
A lot of times you get to this round, and we were talking during the break, like how tense it is and the pressure of a quarterfinal, especially for these two teams. Penn hasn't been there since 1988. Rutgers has never been there, and they were so close a year ago.
We say it often, this is the hardest game of the tournament. You get to championship weekend, in a lot of ways, the weight is off. You've now cemented and stamped your season forever. And for these programs, if you get to be a Final Four team, that team stays together forever. Here comes Gabe Fury. He's been electric down the stretch. Gergar trying to go 5-hole. And Kirst, another save, that's 4.
He's on. He's stopping them high, he's stopping them low.
Both goalies are on.
Yes.
Now Birkinshaw, remember, was the MVP of the Ivy League tournament. Good matchup here, Scott and Farrar, who can match him step for step. Jacoby had the short stick, Palazzi. And Knobloch. Left hand, back of the net. Shane Knobloch, the sophomore from Moorestown, New Jersey. 2-0, Scarlet Knights.
Knobloch is showing you some persistence. First team all Big Ten this year. Big Ten Rookie of the Year a season ago. Look how close moments ago. Stay with it, 27. You are a sharp-shooting midfielder for a reason, with 2 hands and the ability to absolutely hammer a corner.
His mom was a high school girls lacrosse coach for 27 years. Dad was an assistant on those teams. He grew up around the sport, and he is adept as a feeder and, as we saw, a finisher.
And he's very two-handed, which makes him difficult in terms of like that split and hit mode of a midfielder.
That's going to be a violation. You have to get the ball over midfield before the shot clock hits 60. Rutgers can go quickly here. Final 90 seconds of this opening quarter. Penn scoreless. It's 2-0 Rutgers. A hot, steamy day here on Long Island. First of 2 quarterfinal games in Hempstead. 2 more in Columbus today, or tomorrow. Virginia and Maryland, Cornell and Delaware. The Fighting Blue Hens. The biggest upset of round 1, taking down 2 seed Georgetown.
We were talking earlier. They completely outplayed Georgetown. That game was not a fluke.
50 seconds to go. Hangman now. Shot clock at 20, about a 15-second differential. Cameron working on the All-Ivy League defender Piper Bond, one of the top shorties in the country. 45 in white. Ethan Till, the freshman. Good defense here by Penn. Nice swim move, bounce shot. And the shot clock expires. 15.5 to go for Penn. Plenty of time in the Ivy Championship. We saw them go from defense to offense at the end of a quarter for a titillating goal. Bedard picked up out in the restraining area. Here's Hanley. And time runs out in quarter number 1. The goalies stealing the show. 4 saves apiece for Kirst and Birkinshaw. Rutgers, the only team to get on the board. Ross Scott, coming off that 8-goal game, got it started. And Shane Knobloch added the second tally. 2-0 Scarlet Knights after 1.
1 to manage COVID? Just paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Let's put COVID to rest.
In the future, we'll travel to incredible places with the help of magical technology. But what about today?
I can't wait for what tomorrow will bring. But in the meantime, let's enjoy the ride.
Colin Kirst, the Rutgers goalie, he is part of what's now become the first family of college lacrosse. 4 saves in that first quarter for Kirst, who has been locked down in the postseason.
He has, and if you watch his saves, they're high, they're low. The quick hand speed of 23 in black, and the family. You got 3 shooters, 2 goalies. Connors with the Whip Snakes. He played for Rutgers a season ago. How about Caden, the little guy hanging from the middle? I love that. He's in the goal too. See Colin top right, who's making plays. In the bottom, CJ, all he did last week was 7 goals against Ohio State. And don't forget about Cole as well. There's Connor Kirst. That is a big dude. And Mom Michelle, who she's the best. We spoke to her yesterday. I just love her energy. She's always happy. She is the ultimate lacrosse mom.
We were in the car. She gives you a call. We're out getting coffee. And she's talking about, hey, I got to figure out how to get from Long Island on Saturday to Columbus, Ohio on Sunday to go see CJ tomorrow when Cornell plays Delaware.
Tracking a lot of miles. But right now, it's all about Colin, the senior, his last season.
Mom Michelle has been such a rock for that family. Their father, Kyle, a former Rutgers goalie, passed away when the kids were in high school. Talking to Colin yesterday, he said it means so much to him to play the same position that Dad did at the same program where Dad played. Here comes Gallagher, got a good look. Shot clock reset, Piper Bond out of the air. Somehow that is not a push with possession. And now Bond catapults to his feet. Flag is down.
This guy's the real deal. 54 in white. Makes plays.
Chance here for Penn. They continue to struggle to hit the cage as Ben Smith misses. Flag was down, so it looks like we may get that call. Oh, they picked it up. No flag.
It looked like Piper Bond might have been pushed 54 in white, but his minutes are huge. It was a push.
30-second technical.
Okay.
8 left, push. 30-second technical. Reset to 80, please.
So it was a push. We saw what they saw. One of the officials today is Mr. McCluskey, who had the infamous pole goal call when Virginia and Maryland played here in 2019. Penn's 0 for 2 on the man up. Handley and Gergar dangerous here. Gergar skip pass, Fury, and Penn is on the board. Now we think of Dylan Gergar as just a wing shooter. He showed you in round 1. He can dish it out a little too.
The reason being, teams are pressing out on him, Anish, because they're fearful of that righty laser. So when you press out like that, 2 spots could be open. The inside, feeding the crease, or the diagonal pass on the extra man as the team shift to play 40 in white. We watched Gabe Fury in the Ivy League championships. His game has popped the second part of the season. Such a big presence with the long arms and the reach to let it go.
It really started in that comeback win on a Thursday night against St. Joe's. He dominated the second half of that game with holding against Penn. So this will be the first face-off win awarded to Rutgers. Mitch Bartolo, the former Penn captain, casting a 6'6" shadow, number 4 in black. He was simulating Sam Handley for Colin Kirst in practice. Here comes Brian Cameron.
Here we go, block, what do you say, block?
Now Gallagher, two-time captain, 5-year starter for Rutgers. Block working on the freshman Till. Over to Bartolo. Bartolo's shot, not there.
Number 4, Mitch Bartolo.
Out of bounds. Will stay with Rutgers.
Still a shot. Rutgers was closest to the ball when it went out of bounds. No one possessed the ball. There's Ross Scott, the big matchup with B.J. Farrar. From Ross Scott, I'm driving left-handed on the lefty Farrar and making him play cross-farm.
Getting top side, but no angle.
Number 34, Ryan Gallagher, is a save by Patrick Birkinshaw.
Here comes Jack Joyce, the senior. How much can Penn get out of its defensive midfield from guys not named Piper Bond?
That's critical. It's the key. This is what I love about Penn in the substitution game. Oftentimes, Handley will come on either last or second to last because he gets the ball high in the offensive zone with a head of steam.
Yeah, that's a bulldozer with a Ferrari engine. Here comes Schultz. He's come on down the stretch. Now Handley against Apgar. The feed to Rubin, and Penn ties it at 2.
Patrick Birkinshaw is at 56%. As Anish mentioned, maybe the hottest goalie in college lacrosse. You got to find a way to stop this Rutgers offense. A unit that can put up 15 per game. What's 12 and White's secret sauce? His left-handed time room plant, top shelf.
Rutgers wins the face-off, going all the way, not much on it. And there's Birkinshaw, that was an easy one. 6 saves now for the MOP of the Ivy League tournament. Strides that Birkinshaw has made at Penn. Remember, he was on that Virginia team in 2019. He really struggled for Penn in the shortened 2020 season. James Shipley feeds it back up top to Gergar. Fury bouncing off one defender, breaks a double. Ben Smith, bounce shot, save Kirst. We've got 2 goalies right now that have taken the super soldier serum. And there's the NASCAR offense off the save. Bartolo, shot blocked. A couple of former teammates, Bond diving for it. These are playoff ground balls out of bounds. It'll stay with Rutgers. Here comes Scott, accelerating all the way to X. And a whistle. It might be a clock issue. Kark, you mentioned B.J. Farrar. We're seeing a lot of him at close defense. He's dynamic as an LSM, but the Farrar-Scott matchup has been a fun one so far.
It is, and he's the one guy on Penn who can match feet with Ross Scott. B.J. Farrar is an elite athlete with incredible balance, strength, and feet. A lot like Gavin Adler from Cornell. Don't be fooled by the size, man. They are so strong and they win the leverage game, and he will fight you for every ground ball.
officials wanted to see if Penn had possessed the ball before it went out of bounds. And Penn did, so that resets the shot clock to 80 instead of 60 if it was just Rutgers' possession. Ronan Jacoby against Piper Bond. Jacoby beats his man. Left hand free. 3-2 Rutgers.
Watching Ronan Jacoby on tape. Look how jacked he is right now, too. Feeling it, the big stage, no problem for the Wesleyan grad transfer. He played attack at Wesleyan. Owned this part of the field. They move him to midfield, so low angle shooting, no problem. And he's always ready to unleash it left-handed because of the two-handed cradle and can shoot through and away from contact. Take a look at those jerseys, the Tom Hayes in the back, the legendary coach from Rutgers who coached for many decades, a legend in the sport. Tom Hayes passed away this year, and Tom Hayes, his influence not only at Rutgers, but with international lacrosse and the sport in general, much better because of him, and an unbelievable man too. I remember spending time with him at the World Championships over the years. Just a great man to be around.
I remember a few weeks back I was listening to the Dixie and D-Fly podcast on Inside Lacrosse, and Brian Brecht was a guest talking about how he would go to Tom Hayes' camps while growing up.
Yeah, Tom Hayes had like the first big lacrosse camp.
Penn, the equalizer, coming right back. It's Jack Schultz. Schultz is second line midi, and Penn is top heavy with its production. But Schultz came into this game with 6 goals in his last 4 games. Penn gets production outside of the top 6. That's big.
Well, you see the 7th goal in the last 5 games. That's huge because we're playing in 90-degree heat. How many times can you trot out Sam Hanley to make plays? You got to find those complementary sources. Schultz is one of them. He's a two-handed midfielder who can get to the rack. And his latest scoring stretch is just what the doctor ordered. Can the second midfield come alive? And can the third and fourth short stick team-middies get minutes?
Chris Arcieri wins the face-off. Trying to play to the wing. His pass picked off. Arcieri's older brother Gerard was an outstanding fogo at Penn State. Rutgers in transition. Danninger stuffed by Birkinshaw. The outlet to Joyce. And a whistle. If you're a shooter right now, Kark, are these goalies in your head a little bit?
They are, because you've seen them make saves. Let's hear the call.
I'll give you an explanation. 5-4. White, unnecessary roughness, 1 minute. Reset to 80. Unnecessary roughness, 5-4-8. 1 minute.
That's the marathon man, Piper Bond, who will be doing time. You see 54 in white. Let's see the hit. Yeah, that's from behind and it's high. It's a good call. Yes, these goalies are in the shooters' heads. Absolutely, because they've made saves high and low, so it's not like you haven't tested them in that one spot in the cage.
First man-up opportunity for Rutgers, 42% on the season. Jacoby's been the assassin here, 5 EMO goals. Bartolo's dangerous here too, picked up way out in the restraining area by Farrar. Civetti, man-up specialist, trail check Farrar.
You got to talk if you're Rutgers. Talk to your teammate. Say, watch your back. That is a blown opportunity with the extra man. And Penn had a funky defense kind of pressing out with Farrar, but then he became the trail checker, almost roaming like a free safety.
Still 15 seconds on the Rutgers man-up, so Penn on offense, a man down. Sam Handley controls. 6'5", 230, Goliath from Oregon. Handley, a Tewaaraton finalist. That's the Heisman of lacrosse. He gets it back from Fury. Handley looking to feed inside, missed Gergar. Handley tumbles to the ground. A little slow getting off the field. Rutgers turns it over. Scooped up by Theo Lenz. Penn in transition. Rutgers able to get back.
2 blown opportunities within the last minute for Rutgers. The extra man and then the blown clear. You have to play clean if you're Rutgers. You're not going to rely on the face-offs to get the possession. So you have to find certain spots in the clearing game, the extra man, to make Penn pay.
Here comes James Shipley from Weddington, North Carolina. Over to Gergar. Good ball movement. Right on the doorstep, it's Rubin. Flag down. In the crease. No goal. Rubin landed in the goal mouth. That's that little ice cream cone in front of the goalie net.
Okay, got a foul on. Get out of the way, coach. Black 6 pushes with possession. 30-second shot clock goes to 60.
So the penalties on Rutgers, and this is a rule that a lot of people, for good reason, don't like.
Thumbs down.
Because if you're a defensive player and you push the goal scorer into the goal mouth, yes, it's a penalty, but if that player lands in the goal mouth, it doesn't matter if the goal goes in, it's wiped out.
A player can never land in the goal mouth. So if you're a defender, ask yourself this question. Would you rather allow a goal or get a penalty and go man down?
Right.
Thumbs down.
Penn over with the extra man today. Actually make it 1 for 3. Crease feed isn't there. And it's picked off by Kirst.
That push worked out for Rutgers.
Yep.
It's that simple. You went man down, you stopped them.
Chance for Rutgers the other way. The Scarlet Knights making it work in transition. First glimpse of that NASCAR offense today. Rutgers takes a 4-3 lead.
This is exactly why this call is awful. Penn can go up 4-3 on a Rubin goal. Rutgers, well, they're smart. They're playing within the rules. Push, make him land in the goal mouth. Stop them on man down. Sticks in the passing lane. Your goalie throws darts for outlets. Rutgers hits in transition, makes Penn pay, and the Scarlet Knights are up.
Want to manage COVID? Just paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Let's put COVID to rest.
No hag.
Rutgers, a trip to championship weekend on the line. We'll punch our first ticket at the end of this game. Yale-Princeton follows tomorrow. Cornell-Delaware. And then the most anticipated game of this tournament. Maryland and Virginia, a championship game rematch. Maryland absolutely steamrolled Virginia in the regular season. The Terps on an all-time trajectory. And there is this belief that if Virginia can't stop Maryland in the quarters, nobody can.
I think you're right, my friend. But also, I got to ask you this. If there was one team you didn't want to play in the quarterfinals, who would it be?
Virginia.
And they're unseeded.
Unseeded. NCAA men's lacrosse coverage continues next weekend for the semis. The action begins on Saturday, May 28th at noon Eastern. We'll be on ESPN2. Visit NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Semifinals back in East Hartford, Connecticut this year. And they call West Hartford Weehawken. Does East Hartford have a cute little nickname?
You lived there, didn't you?
4 years.
And you got evicted.
Let's go with that. It's better than the real story. Gergar over to Rubin. Has it stick checked away. Nice play, Gene Felix. We get a hold on Penn. Rutgers ball.
That's the way you want to defend Cam Rubin. You want to play the contact game with him. If you allow him to set his feet and let it rip, the hands are lightning quick. The stroke is a thing of beauty. But when you play the contact, physical type game with 12 in white, you could disrupt him.
Penn has 7 turnovers, and that has been the Quakers' big bugaboo this season. They've had 7 games this year with 20 plus. Scott beating his man, missed the cage. You know, we talked about this in the first quarter. Teams missing the cage a lot. It's happened a lot today. You mentioned hot goalies as a shooter. Maybe you're trying to be too perfect.
Well, that shot, you had to be perfect if you're Ross Scott. You had no angle. But when he came off the pick, the Rutgers player who set the pick fell down, so he couldn't back up the cage, so he lost possession. Penn was closer to the ball off the shot.
Getting Shipley now on the midfield unit. He's got it, 37 in white. His high school, the Weddington Warriors, playing in a 4A state championship game today in the Raleigh area. And Shipley cranks, and there is Kirst. You ever see James, his younger brother, play lacrosse? Will, he's now the running back at Clemson.
I saw him after his freshman year in the summer. He was an amazing two-way midi, a motor unmatched. Like, you watched him, it looked like if you gave Christian McCaffrey a lacrosse stick. That's Will Shipley.
I may have to do that in the fall.
With skills, too. With skills.
That program in North Carolina, Weddington, the premier program in the state. They bumped up from 3A to 4A, playing for a state title today. A timeout by Brian Brecht. 4:40 to go. Are you surprised this game has been as low scoring as it's been?
Yes.
Why?
You know, the heat I knew would be a factor. I just looked at both of these teams and getting into the flow of their offense in the last month. You know, Jerry Byrne is the head coach at Harvard and the defensive coordinator there in terms of establishing a presence. They blowtorched Harvard last week. Rutgers did. You've seen Penn the last month clicking on all cylinders and secondary scores coming to the party. The heat has slowed them down, the nerves of the quarterfinal matchup. But if I'm Rutgers right now, I want a heavy dose of Ross Scott. He is your quarterback for a reason. One of the best scorers in Rutgers history. Give him the rock, 5 and black.
Rutgers, a program on the rise. They have ascended under this Big Ten banner. 2 straight quarterfinal appearances. The last time that happened, 1974, 1975, when they had an attackman by the name of John Danowski.
Dino, that is classic. They still are reaching for the school's first lacrosse championship weekend appearance. In this last decade, the stars they've had too, right? The Adam Sherlumbinis, the Jules Henningbergs of the world. Like, they've had the guys that have elevated. So if this team makes championship weekend, it's about those guys in the last decade, the Scott Betas of the world, who've given this program the profile and opportunity to capitalize in recruiting in the transfer portal.
The reality is, the way this bracket was put together, the bottom half of the bracket is wide open. Any of these 4 teams at the bottom, Rutgers, Penn, Cornell, you can't even count out Delaware with the momentum they have. Any of those teams is capable of playing on Championship Monday.
Couldn't agree with you more. And when I was looking at the bracket and the matchups this week too, you know, a lot of people were upset. Notre Dame wasn't in the tournament. Duke wasn't in the tournament. And Georgetown loses last week. But the matchups and the parity here, these all could be 1-goal games. When you think of the quarterfinal matchups, what were the last 8 quarterfinal matchups? How many were 1 goals?
Of the last 8 quarterfinal matchups, 6 went to overtime.
Expect that.
There is some sort of alarm ringing through the stadium. Save Birkinshaw. Cameron on the rebound. Denied. Birkinshaw stole one. Cameron stepped in the crease. It'll be Penn ball.
Cameron had time, right? He caught that rebound and had him. Birkinshaw, one-on-one. Didn't change his levels, though. Changed sides, but Birkinshaw's quick hands in reaction to stay up top. No dice for Cameron. Here's another look, left side of your screen. There's the initial rebound. Cameron gets it. Yeah, he leans with one shoulder to try to get Birkinshaw to commit to one pipe. Shot at the other, it didn't matter.
Gergar, jump shot, nothing on it. The defense, too much. And off the save, Rutgers looks to run. France Kowiak. Birkinshaw, white hot again, 10 saves in the opening half with 3+ minutes to go.
Unbelievable. What I've noticed, Anish, Rutgers defensively is really playing physical with the Penn attack. Like they're challenging them, physically speaking.
There's the matchup, Scott against Farrar. Farrar derailed by the pick. Up top, shot, and it's saved by Birkinshaw. He held on to it. Amon had a great look. An acrobatic save by Birkinshaw, that's 11. I wasn't sure for a minute if he was going to bring that cross back over the line.
Goalie confidence is a scary thing, and he's had it for the last month.
He has. We saw him in Providence in the Ivy League tournament. He stopped 2/3 of the shots he faced. And you can say what you want about Ivy League defenses. Offensively, that is a league loaded with talent. We'll get a timeout by Mike Murphy.
Birkinshaw, the later stages of this season, has been staring down shooters and winning battles. And he's not a quiet goalie. Like a lot of goalies will sit on shots, little body movement. He flops and flares everywhere.
Did that cross over the goal line? Now let's take one more look at that.
It may have, but it's such a quick play for an official to make that call. Take another look at this, Anish. Makes the save.
Now the ball's in the air.
Oof.
You know, it's hard to tell.
Does it cross the plane? Does it cross the goal line?
Unless you have that overhead angle, which I don't think we do.
And unless you have instant replay, which we don't, other than the final seconds of a quarter or a half.
Listen, at the end of the day, that is an incredible save, whether that goes in or not. If it goes in, obviously it's not counted as a save, but Birkinshaw has stolen a couple of goals today.
He played at the Brunswick School in Connecticut. He was the #1 rated recruit in the country. And he went to play for the defending national champs. The University of Virginia transfers to Penn, struggles a little bit his first year in 2020. There's been some ups and downs this season as well, but the last month, it's been on absolute shutdown mode. Patrick Birkinshaw. You know, when you look at that shot, too, that might have crossed the goal line, no official's going to make that in real time.
No.
So we're not going to speculate more and more until we have instant replay. That's what you're going to have. It's such a quick type of movement from shot to save to clear.
We come up on 2 minutes to play. Here's Fury working on Kamish. Rutgers top shorty. Hanley feeding the crease, and that was dropped by Gergar. You saw the vision from Hanley. Gergar needs to finish that.
Those are the moments Penn wants to capitalize. Everyone's shifting upfield to the quarterback, Hanley. All eyes are on him. The pipes are open. He just can't make the correct pass, and Gergar, he caught that. It's one-on-one with Colin Kirst.
It's a tie game. First midfield for Rutgers. Jacoby, Knobloch, Gallagher's got the ball and the short stick. Tough to call Bedard a shorty. He's 6'2". And that's Penn ball. Peter Blake, the junior out of Massachusetts, the hustle to the sideline. Less than 90 seconds to go. Opening half. 4-3 Rutgers. Birkinshaw. Manganel's this one downfield. Gene Felix lost it. Recovers. Now ambushed. Down he goes. No flag. It comes to Penn.
I thought he was pushed. 81 in black. Looked like he was pushed from behind. Lost his helmet as well. No call. And Penn, with 50 on the shot clock, less than a minute to play, they're in a good spot.
Hanley full head of steam. Skip pass. Gergar from the wing. Textbook. We're tied at
4. It's all about second opportunities. Cashing in. Taking advantage of potentially a missed call. Gene Felix here goes after this ground ball. That's tough. At first, it looked like he was pushed from behind. He fell almost from the pressure from the side and front. But Sam Hanley, when he operates high in the offensive set and he has the head of steam, he is virtually unstoppable. When you see that moving force coming downhill, the entire defense has to respect Sam Hanley, and he's able to make those diagonal passes to the pipes to guys like Gergar and Rubin.
Battle for the face-off, popped into the air. It comes to Scott. Rutgers on its attacking end. And a timeout called with 44.3 seconds to go. Tied at 4. A trip to championship weekend in East Hartford, Connecticut on the line. Coming up at halftime, we'll preview the 3 quarterfinal games that are still to come. Yale-Princeton follows this one tomorrow. Cornell-Delaware and Maryland-Virginia. We'll also look at the Tewaaraton finalists. And listen, a sneak peek on game 2 today. Yale and Princeton. Yale won the regular season matchup, but there's a piece of that puzzle and some context that needs to be applied. Princeton's best defender in that game, George Bond, did not guard Matt Brandow. Yale's most electric attackman. Bond was coming off an injury. They had Pace Billings guarding Brandow. Brandow went for 5 goals and 3 assists. We're going to see Bond against Brandow today in what should be one of the best one-on-one matches of this quarterfinal round.
George Bond is, for my money, maybe the most underrated defender in the country. Came into Princeton as a freshman in 2018, led the Ivy League that year as a freshman, and caused turnovers. Now he's a 5th-year guy, and he's doing the same thing. He was nicked up earlier in the season. He changes the complexity of that entire Princeton defense. He's an eraser.
You talked to Michael Sowers this week, who went up against George Bond in practice a lot when the two were at Princeton. What did Michael Sowers tell you?
Michael also played against George in high school twice a season. He said, by far, he's the toughest one-on-one matchup that he's ever had, ever. This is the most prolific scorer in Princeton history, saying that about George Bond. And when you look at the battles that they had in high school, they had him on the practice field in college too. Coach Madelon had to actually have them separated and stop going against each other in practice just because of how hard they went at each other and were beating each other up.
Princeton really struggled defensively in its last 2 games leading into the tournament. And then they were on another level against BU last week, holding BU to 5 goals. They gave up 37 in their previous 2 games. Defense has been a season-long struggle for Yale. Andy Shea feels he has the individual pieces, and they do. We just have not seen it come together as a unit.
Yeah, they're letting up 15 goals a game over this last month, which is a tough pill to swallow, a team that traditionally never plays that way.
Rutgers can hold for 1. Knobloch's got a goal in this first half. Picked up by Lenz. 46 in white. Lavelle out there for Penn. Scott against Farrar. Offline. And let's see who wins this ground ball. It will be Rutgers. 7.7 seconds to go. Gallagher to trigger. And a whistle. Gallagher against Joyce. 5 seconds. Gallagher streaking to the cage. Joyce dislodges it. A trebuchet downfield. And half number one comes to an end as Kirst snags it out of midair. Penn and Rutgers playing to a stalemate through 30 minutes. Tied at 4.
Well, the last time both of these teams played a full season for Penn, 2019, they lost in this round by 1. Last year, Rutgers loses by 1. They're in the same place, looking to advance to Champ Weekend.
Game through 30 minutes between Rutgers and Penn. A trip to championship weekend is on the line. The winner of this game will play either Cornell or Delaware next weekend in East Hartford. Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra. Goalies, they stole the show in the first half.
Patrick Birkinshaw, I mean, you think about Mr. May, right? He's the guy. He's over 60%.
It's a good nickname in lacrosse, not in baseball.
You don't want that in baseball. He's been incredible, over 60% this last month, and he's shown you why. He might be the hottest goalie in the country, but Colin Kirst, I think for Rutgers too, equally effective. The difference for me, though, I think Kirst in the Rutgers offense is challenging Birkinshaw a little bit more in terms of their shooting display and their effectiveness. Can Birkinshaw play to that level in the second half is my question.
We've seen both goalies get in the heads of the shooters. A lot of shots missing the cage. Rutgers held Penn scoreless in the opening quarter.
It's 90+ degrees, and Sam Hanley has been draped all over in terms of being the main attraction for the Rutgers defense, sending double teams, making him tired. Contact and sticks everywhere, some turnovers in the first half. Late in the second quarter, though, he finds a beautiful seam in the Rutgers defense to Dylan Gergar on the right side. That's what Hanley needs to do, operate from up top. He's got lethal wing shooters in Gergar and Rubin. Ross Scott, off of the 8-goal performance in round 1 against Harvard, he came off the top with a nice lefty low-angle shot. Shane Knobloch hammering a screaming lefty on the run shot to the corner. Ronan Jacoby. And then Ethan Roll. This is what Rutgers will need to do more of, Anish. They want to run on Penn, a team that loves to play in the settled sets. Rutgers a little bit more comfortable going from defense to offense. They need to push the tempo.
And we've seen at times Penn, when it gets sped up, they turn it over, they can get sloppy, you can take advantage. Rutgers really has not done that to Penn in the first 30 minutes. Ross Scott had the first goal of the game, his 9th of this postseason, one shy of the school's single-season record. Sam Handley, 3 assists from tying the school's single-season points record. Biggest adjustment for both teams here in the second half, Clark.
Well, I think Rutgers needs to figure out, in terms of Hanley through the substitution box, when they're going to start defending him. Because it's frightening for any defense to deal with 26 and white when he's coming out of the box. A lot of times, Penn intentionally will send him out second or third, so he is just barreling downfield. How are you going to adjust to that? You cannot have a defender waiting there for Sam Hanley. You almost want to match the substitution and play him with a little contact deep into a offensive spacing set, if that makes sense. And I think for Penn, they have to find those shooters, right? Like when they move off a ball movement and use Hanley as a decoy, he can get a ton of assists and find those wing shooters.
Penn only 18 shots in that opening half. Rutgers had 30. And the Scarlet Knights with Eugenio win the opening draw of half number 2. Quarterfinal number 1 of 4 here on Long Island.
And that's just it, the 30 shots, right? Your goalie is playing incredible lacrosse. But can you count on that kind of onslaught offensively? Again, if you're Penn defensively, you know, they're being exposed at points.
Jacoby working on Bond, who does not cede an inch. And there's the matchup. That's been a fun one to follow. Scott against Farrar. Knobloch from the outside, thought about it, spins. Birkinshaw turns that one away. Rebound loose. Big battle for the ground ball. Bartolo, the former Penn Quaker, lost his stick. Procedure call, they'll get Bartolo for playing without a stick. And now Penn off the quick restart, but Piper Bond is going to have to back it up. Watch Handley come out of the box here. He's the second one on this time. As you said, oftentimes the second or third one on. Fury runs on. Fury, Shipley, and Handley, the starting midfield. Fury had a steam. Fire, save! Kirst. Rebound loose. Kirst was down. And we get a loose ball push on Rutgers. That was a great look by Gabe Fury, who in a lot of ways is Sam Handley light.
He's 6'5", he looks small compared to Sam Handley. That's how nuts it is. But that's what makes Penn so effective. They run their offense through the midfield, and their big guys come downhill.
There's Shipley. There's another save by Kirst. That's 8. Early in the third quarter, both goalies have combined for about 20 saves. Lavelle that time picked up Scott. They still have Farrar playing close defense. They've bumped up Blake. 46 in white, Brendan Lavelle missed the last 4 games for an off-field issue. Back today, first team All-Ivy League defender. Shipley playing defense here. He's a good enough athlete to be out there. Bartolo against his former team, and Rutgers takes a 5-4 lead.
Been an exchange of body blows between the two goaltenders. Birkinshaw has been brilliant. So is Colin Kirst from Rutgers. Closing the door on Gabe Fury, staring him down with a laser of a shot, and then Shipley with the low angle. That is not going to fall on Colin Kirst. And then Bartolo, time and room. He is a lethal outside shooter. We saw him with 4 goals against Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament. Loved chatting with Mitch. He grew up only a town or 2 away from where I currently live, and we had a chat. He was a late developer. I mean, you look at him now, he's 6'6". A lot of colleges weren't after him. Mike Murphy gave him a chance. He was a slow crease attackman in high school and grew into his body. His mom called him Baby Giraffe.
Last week, 3 goals, 3 assists. And we'll see Mitch Bartolo in the PLL, drafted in the 4th round by the Redwoods.
Yeah, the Redwoods have Sergio Perkovic, who's 6'4". Miles Jones is 6'5".
They have a type.
Yes, Mitch Bartolo, 6'6". Good luck defending those monsters.
We're excited. The PLL season on ESPN just a few weeks away. It started in Albany. Sam Handley lost it.
That's exactly the way I was telling you Rutgers needed to defend him.
Yeah, they came right at him. They met him. As soon as he got out of the box, it was Ethan Rawl, who's got a goal today. Rawl, the long pole, one of the best in the country, got into his hands immediately.
If you don't meet him high in that offensive zone, he gets the head of steam, you're toast. You have to meet him and then have your defense ready to support. Take him out of his rhythm.
Ball on the ground, Gergar vacuums. Pass up top, picked off by Rawl. Rutgers now with a chance to push. Daniger. Left hand, shot blocked. Big ground ball, popped into the air. Keel has it for Penn. Birkinshaw launches one downfield. And Gergar points at Rubin with 2 hands up. Penn slows down. Two in white, Luke DeJacobi, Jr., who played his high school ball at Malvern Prep. Pennsylvania powerhouse. Now Robert Shane. Breather for Handley. Shane to Jacoby and Fury, the midfield for Penn. Shane inverts against the short stick Daninger. Help coming. Nothing there. Shot clock at 15. Shane, Gergar steps into one. 9 saves for Kirst. And it's off a Kirst save that Rutgers begins its transition, but Francowiak could not catch it clean with Rubin draped all over him.
When you watch Colin Kirst on tape, he rarely lets in bad goals. Like, he is so steady in terms of his angles, his body positioning, his calmness.
And he's a big game goalie. "17 saves in round 1. Had 17 saves in round 1 last year against Lehigh. Rutgers inverts Gallagher. On to Jacoby. Spins it back to X. .20 to shoot. Bartolo, wing dodge. Back to Scott. Knobloch fires. Birkinshaw eats it up. A dozen saves now for Birkinshaw.
Look at PJ go.
Wheels. Over to Joyce, met immediately. He hangs on. Knobloch tried to jar it loose.
Do you feel like having BJ Ferraro at close defense, if you lose any transition?
You lose a lot of transition. The bet Mike Murphy is making is we need him against Ross Scott.
Which I understand because of a quickness perspective.
Shipley over to Rubin, side of the net. Kirst digs it out. There's the great outlet. Apgar, D3 transfer from Salisbury. Missed most of the season. Started the first couple of games. Came back toward the tail end of the year. They feel he's got a chance to be a big-time player. 3-time All-American at Salisbury. Only 1 goal in this third quarter. It was Bartolo, the former Penn Quaker. Here he is again. Bartolo shoots. Blocked.
Cover number 4, Mitch Bartolo.
Bartolo, a big part of that Penn team in 2019 that reached the quarterfinals, won the Ivy League championship. Lost to Yale in the quarters on a jack tie goal in overtime. Save Birkinshaw.
Shot by number 5, Ross Scott, is saved by Patrick Birkinshaw.
On to taxis in the attack box.
We had average goaltending in this game. The score would be 9-8. 10-9-ish, right?
Great
these
point.
goalies have been on their A game.
Rawl against Handley's been a good matchup today. Gergar thought about it. Now Handley. Rawl eyes him up. A couple of All-Americans. Fury's got the short stick. And he's exploited that matchup down the stretch. Now Fury will run off. Penn's depth will be tested now in the second half with the Heat. Schultz out of the box, fresh legs. Open look. Bedard saved Kirst. Russo on the rebound. Tornadoes out of trouble.
That was a big-time move by Bobby Russo to evade the pressure, to spin.
Daninger. Francowiak. Low sidewinder. It's good. Little worm burner past Birkinshaw. 11th goal of Francowiak's career, the 3rd this season for the 25-year-old senior.
When you think of Rutgers lacrosse, whether it was in the 1990s, the name Cursed always was prevalent. Well, in 2022, with the team one game away from championship weekend, Colin Cursed is closing the door and giving his offense opportunities.
Want to manage COVID? Just pay for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Let's put COVID to rest.
Your ticket to more. Heart-pumping, once-in-a-lifetime memories in the making with the only ticketing company in the game that rewards you for buying. Buy 10 tickets, the 11th is on us. That's like 10% back on every ticket. With birthday deals and exclusive access to your favorite events. Now that's something to sing, laugh, cheer, scream, buy about. Vivid Seats. Life happens live.
Thompson in attack mode. Oh my goodness! Lyle Thompson! Little stutter step move. Thompson, the right hand shot. He scores! There's a nice shot from Lyle Thompson.
The summer of Lyle. We get to watch the great Lyle Thompson all summer long on the ESPN networks when the PLL comes to ESPN. Colin Cursed, a brick wall in the cage for Rutgers. He's got double-digit saves. We'll see Cursed in the PLL along with his teammate Mitch Bartolo.
He's got the body type, the outlets to flourish in the PLL. Cannon's got themselves a big-time goalie. Mitch Bartolo, I mentioned with the Redwoods. Yeah, you have a 6'4" and a 6'5" midfielder in Sergio Perkovic and Miles Jones. Just add a 6'6" guy. Not bad, and he could spray it from downtown, but Colin Cursed, his ability to step up in big moments, he's never rattled.
Face-off violation on Rutgers. 3.5, and the opposition goes man up. Here comes Shipley, head of steam out of the box. Feeds the wing. Hanley with a bazooka from the outside. Caleb Fernandez, Schultz, and Handley, the midfield for Penn. Shipley's out there too. Got Fernandez in at attack. Handley against Apgar. Feeding Gurgar. Nice move on the inside. Gurgar with the finish off the feed from Big Sam.
Big Sam can deal. Penn faithful feeler. Got a good one in Hempstead, New York. Dylan Gurgar is known as a righty wing shooter, but also a dodger off of ball movement. So making this quick underneath move when Gene Felix, 81, kind of overextends in the gap and in the opening is downfield. But if you're Gurgar, your first step after you dip under has to be upfield to increase your angle. That is incredible awareness by 40 and White.
This is Penn's 16th game of the season. Gurgar now has scored at least 2 goals in 15 of them. Penn with a 9-4 edge at the X. Ground ball here. Zusai had it, lost it. We'll get a conference. It will be Penn ball. So Duhenio, according to the officials, knocked it out of bounds. Interesting here. Penn essentially playing 4 midfielders, and Hanley's going to be a little bit of a hybrid. Shane. Gene Felix lost his helmet. And Shane, through the chaos, able to score. First goal of the season, just the 4th of Robert Shane's career. And we are tied at 6.
And goal, his first of the season.
this ball through the legs. It's off of DeHenio, so that's a good call by the official. And it gives life. Robert Shane soaks that initial contact from Gene Felix, turns and gets upfield. Gene Felix has lost his helmet twice now in this game. The contact right there, the reset by Shane, and I watched him in high school too as an attackman at the Bullis School. So smooth, and they're running him out of the box, able to play those low wings where he's so accustomed to making plays, and he capitalizes.
A top 25 recruit out of high school. DeHenio wins the draw. Fourth tie of the game. Penn has never led. A chance to lead for the first time. Palazzi.
So right now they have Hanley at attack. They experimented that for one game this season. It wasn't as effective, but right now I think it's needed because of the heat, because of the lack of depth.
Gar missed the cage. It'll stay with Penn.
And you get Rutgers kind of guessing. I would assume Hanley will take a few pops here at attack, and you move them back to midfield. You make them change the way that they're pressuring on defense.
Now, we've seen this sometimes. Penn will invert one of its midfielders. Hanley stays on the field, and he can bounce back, as he's doing now. Against Apgar, Hanley absorbs the contact, bounce shot offline.
He's staying as an attackman in terms of staying on the field, but he's still going to operate up top. That is his money spot, when he sees the entire defense in front of him.
Schultz. Marked by Bryant Boswell. Bucknell transfer, two-time All-Patriot League. Here comes Shipley. He's quick. On the ground, Gergar trying to scoop it up. Shot clock under 20. Hanley from the wing. Beats Gene Felix. Save, Kirsch. Rebound, Schultz whiffed in the crease. Rutgers ball. Rutgers jumped out to a 2-0 lead. They have never trailed.
I know B.J. Farrar, one and white, is an exceptional defender, but if I'm Ross Scott, you have to challenge this matchup. You're the guy for Rutgers. The offense runs through 5 and black. He has to test this matchup.
There's Bartolo. Now Knobloch picked up by Piper Bond. One of the top shorties in the Ivy. Knobloch skirts this one wide.
Shot by number 27, Shane Knobloch.
No shot clock reset. Gallagher operating from X. Bartolo coming down the alley. Veers it over to Scott. He's got the short stick Bond. Scott bouncing wide.
Shot by number 5, Ross Scott.
Not hit the goalie or the pipe. It stays in bounds. Shot clock down to 6. Gallagher again. Shot clock down to 2. There's the feed. Scott, side of the net.
Shot by number 5, Ross Scott.
Piper Bond, 54 and white. Dad, James Bond, won a championship at Carolina, and Piper's real first name is James. So there's only one drink order. But it's shaken, not stirred. Caleb Fernandez now, senior out of Florida. Daninger trying to force him back. Looking to feed up top. It gets by Fury, and that's over and back.
That is outstanding defense by Daninger. Playing the contact game, fighting at goal line extended. I've seen too many times midfielders defensively play in space and they don't make that contact at goal line extended.
Daninger's been an unsung hero today. A couple of assists. He's played well on defense. We talk about the Pacific Northwest with Scott and Hanley. Daninger out of Lake Tapps, Washington.
That unit as a whole, too, Anish, right? We were talking in the break. It's almost like a second midfield for Rutgers. Those short stick defensive midfielders have the green light. And offensively, they're producing today.
The last 3 Rutgers goals, somebody from that defensive midfield is had a hand in it. 25 seconds to go, shot clock irrelevant. This is becoming a regular thing, a quarterfinal thriller. Scott. Warburton on wide.
Feels great here too, right at Hofstra? Like this is a staple. Quarterfinals at Hofstra, you just feel it.
Nice crowd, hot day, feels like summer. Yard sale, flea markets, and a tie game after 3. We were building toward this. Penn has already played 7 one-goal games this season, almost half their games. 6 of the last 8 quarterfinal games decided by a goal. It should be a fantastic finish on the island.
Want to manage COVID? Just pay for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Let's put COVID to rest.
Your ticket to more heart-pumping, once-in-a-lifetime memories in the making with the only ticketing company in the game that rewards you for buying. Buy 10 tickets, the 11th is on us. That's like 10% back on every ticket. With birthday deals and exclusive access to your favorite events. Now that's something to sing, laugh, cheer, scream, buy about. Vivid Seats. Life happens live.
Kraus over to Moore for the win! Virginia going to championship weekend! Robertson, left hand bouncer, scores! Duke wins it in overtime! Holds on to the ball, ties, shoots, and scores! Robertson falling down and bounces in! He did it again!
McCarthy has some room, now he'll shoot and score the game winner!
DeMeo steps in and scores! Headed to championship weekend! This has been the round. 6 of the last 8 quarterfinal games have gone to OT. We've got a tie game heading into the 4th quarter. And we've got a Penn team that loves to play close games and loves to play overtime games. That's been their MO this season. More often than not, they found a way to win.
They have 2 goalies in this matchup who refuse to quit.
Rutgers has never trailed in this game. We're tied for the 4th time in this ball game. First midfield for Penn. It's a midfield-driven attack. Shipley, left hand too high.
He's a nice change of pace, right? You got the big guys like Sam Hanley, Gabe Fury, right? They're like 6'5" long guys. Then you have Shipley, who has that burst and the quick change of direction, the ability to break down a short stick at ease.
Hanley's been held in check today, just 2 assists. He's got it now. Over to Ben Smith, the hero last week. Shipley swims inside, got a good look, missed the cage. You know, talking to Brian Brecht yesterday, we said, hey, what do you do against a Sam Hanley? And his response was, we think the world of Sam Hanley, but we've faced pretty good players the last couple of years. Jared Bernhardt, Wisnauskas, Jack Myers at Ohio State. Hanley over to Gergar. Shot clock down to 10. Shipley falls, feeds the crease. Right there on the doorstep, a goal! Chris Cannon and Penn takes its first lead of the game.
They're going deep in the bench. Kennett is only a freshman. Not used a ton in 2022, but it's 90 degrees, it's hot. Use your bench. Give an opportunity, seize the moment. What a pass by Shipley, who loses his footing, continues to have his head up, and steps away from the pressure. And the freshman speedster from New Canaan, Connecticut, big-time high school football player. Watched him in high school, a punt return type of two-way midfielder, making an attack-like finish.
First career goal for Kennett. And it comes in the quarterfinal to give Penn its first lead of the game early in the fourth.
How about the play by Shipley, though? Never give up. You lose your footing. You feel the double. Your head is up. That is a brilliant lacrosse play.
You think of Shipley's hand in all these close games for Penn. He had the overtime game winner against St. Joe's. The game-winning goal at the end of regulation against Penn State. The game-tying goal at the end of regulation against Duke. He's been Captain Clutch.
And what did we talk about before the game with this heat and Penn's inability to use a ton of guys? They go to the bench, a freshman who rarely played in big spots.
You got to find secondary scoring. In the last two Penn goals, Shane and Kennett, neither had scored prior to this quarterfinal. Ben Smith, Curse turns it away. Off the rebound, Schultz, and now with the heat, shot clock reset. This makes it exponentially tougher on defenses. Clark, we were talking before the game, the fourth quarter. This turns into a testament of endurance.
Both goalies have not blinked.
Manager's been terrific for Rutgers. Battling Smith on the doorstep. Gergar, the hat trick. 4 straight by the Quakers. And Penn with its largest lead of the afternoon at 8-6.
How do you beat a hot goalie? Ball movement and move him. Ben Smith, the freshman, 5 goals in round 1 against Richmond. Dances around the crease area. And Gergar understands where the slide is, heading towards Smith. And camps out. Colin Curse has no shot at that. It's quick ball movement, and it's moving pipe to pipe. That's undefeated for an inside shooter.
Gergar now 51 goals on the season. 5 shy of former teammate Adam Goldner's single-season school record. Penn's won the majority of the draws. Zusai, honorable mention, all Ivy. Wins another for the Quakers. Mike Murphy told us before the Ivy League tournament, close games don't bother this team. They're comfortable playing 1- and 2-goal games. They've done it all season. Kennett again, fresh legs. Sam Handley. He'll charge from up top. Handley on the run. Still without a goal today.
Number 26, Sam Handley.
He hasn't had the goal, but the attraction he gets from the defense, it always spins. The ability to have like those second hockey assists are off the charts for 26 and white.
There's Handley. Looking to feed inside. It's checked away. Looking for Smith. Still plenty of time to shoot. Gar with his 9th hat trick of the season today. Kennett has it dislodged, but a push without possession. And that's on Kamish, so another shot clock reset.
That's a 5th-year senior against a true freshman.
We wondered about Penn's depth. They have unearthed some depth here in this fourth quarter. Kennett, Shane. Gar's pass knocked back, still plenty of time. Rutgers playing a lot of defense here. Handley barreling down, nearly lost it. Skip pass. Good look here. Fury save. Kirst. Rebound. Penn. This has turned into what, a 2-3 minute possession, maybe longer now.
This Rutgers defense is going to be gassed.
Gergar, jump shot save, Kirst. And he's out of the cage to scoop up the rebound. Mark it down, 10:09 to go. Fourth quarter, a huge defensive hold for Rutgers, and now the offense has to milk some clock here to give the defense time to rest. And a timeout by Brian Breck. That's a great timeout.
I agree. Normally, you don't want to burn it so quickly in the fourth quarter. Because of that scenario on the other end, right call by Breck.
Rutgers with a chance to inhale, exhale, catch its breath. Down 2.
Great news! Children's Hospital of Philadelphia now has a second hospital in King of Prussia. For you, and for you. Our new hospital in King of Prussia, open now, for you.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
I only have eyes for you.
6-4, backs against the wall. Want a shot at championship weekend for the first time since 1988? Dylan Gergar has been absolutely sensational. Then it's Robert Shane and the freshman. First goal of the season. You want depth? You want to go to the bench? Chris Kennett answers with the biggest goal of his life. And then it's more Dylan Gergar. The multi-dimensional shooter can spray it from the outside, can get underneath, and can finish inside.
Dylan Gergar, 9 hat tricks this season now. Only the second 50-goal scorer in school history. His teammate Adam Goldner did it as well back in 2019. And if you look at the 3 highest scoring seasons in Penn history, number 1 is Peter Hollis back in '77. Sam Handley this year is number 2. Gergar this year is number 3. He's more than just a wing finisher.
Yeah, look at their schedule, too. They play the big boys.
They don't duck anybody. Time for Rutgers to dig in after a timeout. The Scarlet Knights do not have a shot in this quarter. Here's Bartolo. Skips it over to the wing. Step down. Nabla! His second.
The best shooters in the world, whether it's Ryan Brown from the PLL Water Dogs, Tucker Durdovic, college ranks for Syracuse this season, two-handed, multiple release points. You remember in the first quarter, Shane Knobloch down the alley, lefty hammers it in the corner. This time and room picks the opposite corner. That is a shooter.
Penn 13 out of 21 at the face-off X. Cameron. And Rutgers now with a chance to get back to even. Ross Scott has been held in check today by B.J. Farrar. Great pick there by Rutgers. Scott feed it to Bartolo in front, and we're tied. The Scarlet Knights using the pick game to perfection.
Using the pick game, putting the ball in the stick of your quarterback. Your most explosive offensive player, Ross Scott, has shown you the ability to make big plays as a goal scorer last week, the 8 against Harvard. This time dealing to the monster Bartolo, 6'6" crease presence. We're all tied.
2 goals in the span of 20 seconds.
the quarterfinal round. That's all I gotta say.
Drama on 3 shots of espresso. Scott again, matched with Farrar.
You mentioned it, the use of the pick game, because B.J. Farrar has been brilliant on Ross Scott. Ross Scott has not been able to evade him, so giving him that pick behind the cage not only frees him up, frees up his hands, and you see the slide coming, then he dissects and hits Bartolo. You need 5 to operate behind the cage.
Here we go, Black, here we go, Black!
Bartolo barging down the alley, now Scott on an island with Farrar. Scott trying to shake Farrar. Help coming. Now picked up by the short stick. He's got the matchup.
We're gonna go quick, Penn. You gotta support this matchup.
Scott against Joyce. There's the slide. Shot saved by Birkinshaw, number 14. And will set up the clear. Farrar looking for Bond. It gets away. Rolling toward the sideline. Stays in bounds. Gene Felix scoops it up for Rutgers. Scarlet Knights have to get it past midfield before that shot clock hits 60. And they do it with ease. Tereski touches up. Big ground ball. Scooped up by Theo Lenz. Here comes Bond. Hanley out of the box. No one in front. Hanley missed the cage.
Number 26,
he wants that back. He wants that back.
Yes, he does. He's losing his angle and he shoots with the right hand. I thought maybe he would switch to his left and start moving towards the middle of the field to increase that angle. More net. But Kirst plays the body positioning as well as any goalie. And you don't make that save, but you cause that shot.
Bedard against Daninger, who's been tremendous for Rutgers, 2 in black. Bedard down the alley, picked up by Apgar. Gergar's got it, feeding the wing. Schultz inside, Ben Smith turned away, Kirst.
Number 24, Ben.
14 saves now for Kirst. These 2 goalies, it's like a baseball game with 2 ace pitchers. Inning for inning, frame for frame, matching each other.
Well said, my man. Well said.
Each as intense and purposeful as the other. Hanley with a rocket. Kirst is there. Save number 15.
Hanley, the save by Colin Kirst.
How good is Colin Kirst? How good is Patrick Birkinshaw? Only one can win with 5 minutes left.
Here comes Daninger, 2 assists. Shot to score! Dante Koulis. And Rutgers with a 9-8 lead. 5:38 to go in regulation.
Who would have thought, Anish? With all these veteran stars, the Sam Hanleys of the world, the Mitch Bartolos, the Colin Kirsts. It's a one-on-one with Sam Hanley. Loses his angle, misfires. Then the save by Colin Kirst. And we saw Chris Kinnett in the third quarter, his freshman campaign, rarely in big spots, delivers. This time, it's Dante Koulis. With all the veterans on Rutgers, it's a freshman who hits it.
And redemption for Koulis, who suffered a head injury on this field against Hofstra and missed 7 games. And Daninger has been the unsung hero for Rutgers. 3 assists. He came into the game with 4 on the season. 3 straight for Rutgers. Remember, it started with a great defensive stand, then a timeout after Penn had gone up 8-6. There comes Kinnett. You could tell he's got the fresh legs. Gergar against Gene Felix. He's a righty. Gene Felix spun him left. Now Handley. There's that rocker step. Back a few years in that quarterfinal against Yale. Handley, only 2 shots, did not score a goal. Shipley, Ben Smith. Off the, that hit the pipe? Did not, no shot clock reset. Gergar, right hand, Kirst is there. Didn't have an angle. At the question mark attempt.
Colin Kirst is always in the right spot. He's always where he should be on the pipes, making those stops.
We come up on 4 minutes to play. Scott against Farrar. And this is the point of the game, too, where Rutgers does have a depth advantage.
Credit Brian Brecht, who went to Dante Koulis, the freshman, in a big spot like that.
Koulis, only 12 shots this season. He's connected 8 times, however. Knobloch's got 2 goals. Going to work on Shipley. And Knobloch with a hat trick and a jersey fist pump.
This is a program who's been close, knocking on the door. You got a Jersey boy on one side making the huge stop on the red-hot Dylan Gergar. And then Shane Knobloch, New Jersey strong, drops the hat trick. And we talked about shooting versatility out of 27 in black. We've seen it with the left hand up high. Now we're seeing it low to low. He has delivered.
12 multi-goal games this season. And a big face-off win for Duhenio. Rutgers driving downhill. And an unforced error. If Rutgers holds on, you want to find a turning point. A little more than 10 minutes to go.
You called it.
Penn had opportunity after opportunity. Shot clock reset after shot clock reset. Rutgers stood tall on defense. They call a timeout. They caught their breath. Since then, they've responded with 4 straight.
You felt they were on the ropes, right? You felt like Penn was ready to give that knockout punch.
They hung in there. The bell rung. They got to the next round. Here comes Schultz. Down the alley. There's Kirst. Rebound loose behind the cage. Big ground ball. Out of bounds. Last touch. Penn, Rutgers ball.
Bobby Russo, 88 in black, has made 2 monster plays in this second half that won't show up on a score sheet, won't show up on a highlight tape. Little subtle plays, clearing in the 3rd quarter when he was getting double teamed, and that check to get it out of bounds, to give your offense with a 2-goal lead the ability to zap the clock.
Rutgers 2.5 minutes away from its first trip to championship weekend. The Scarlet Knights 0 for 7 in the quarterfinals as a program entering today. You get a sense if Rutgers scores 1 more, this thing's over.
We're going to hold probably around 15, attack the cage, because if you miss, you have a second opportunity, not only to score, but if you don't have a perfect scenario, you roll the ball out and ride them.
And you can bleed the clock. We saw it last week, Richmond against Penn. Richmond went into stall ball too early, and it's different with a 1-goal lead versus a 2-goal lead. Scott over to Gallagher. Up top, Koulis. Bartolo. Shot clock violation, so Penn has it. Down by 2. 95 seconds to go, possibly in their season. And you got to think, number 26 will have a say in what happens over this final minute plus. Timeout, Mike Murphy. Another quarterfinal thriller here at Hofstra. Tied at 6. going into the second half. A couple of fourth quarter goals gave Penn an 8-6 lead. It was Penn's first lead of the ball game. Then Penn had about a 2-3 minute possession. It felt like it took forever. Kirst eventually makes the save. Rutgers calls timeout out of the timeout. Knobloch can't start a fire without a spark. He was the spark.
He was. And then Bartolo answers with a crease goal on the feed from Ross Scott. Dante Koulis comes up huge as a freshman, and then Knobloch. To me, the fourth quarter was owned by two Jersey boys, Colin Kirst and Shane Knobloch. And when you think about this program, they've been so close. And with all the influx of transfers, at the core of this program is the state of New Jersey.
As somebody who was born in New Jersey, it might be one of the smallest states in the union, but if you did a poll of every resident of the state, they'd say it's in the top 3 in terms of size.
In everything.
NCAA men's lacrosse coverage continues next weekend for the semis. The action begins Saturday, May 28th at noon Eastern on ESPN2. Visit NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Penn will need a rally. We've seen Penn do this all season long. They have had their backs to the wall. They have been down to their final lifeline, and they found a way.
Less than a month ago against St. Joe's.
Last week against Richmond, Richmond had the ball in the final minute. All they had to do was clear. Penn with the ride, got the ball back. They scored to force overtime and then win in OT.
And you know what they do in big spots, which I love offensively? They use Sam Hanley almost as a decoy in terms of starting the offense, knowing the early slide, and then it's those hockey assists, the two-aways that give the opportunities in close.
Yeah, they drew up a great play out of a timeout in overtime to win it last week. Gergar's got 3 goals. Doesn't have much room to operate. The pass to Shipley, picked off! Boswell's got it for Rutgers. Clear path to the goal, he scores!
The transfer from Bucknell, Brian Boswell. I'm thinking, okay, he gets that ball. He's going to exhaust the clock. Because when you shoot, you give life for a face-off. But if you're up 2 and you can can it to go up 3, 90 in black, that's the dagger.
You know what, Clark? Down the stretch. And you saw it a little on that last possession, too. Penn looks tired.
They gave us everything. But 5 goals in 8:15. Rutgers showed you, we talked about the depth and their ability to play end-to-end.
1:04 to go. Face-off violation, Rutgers. Shipley all the way to the cage. Who else? Kirst. He has been the Minotaur at the end of the labyrinth for Rutgers. Back-to-back 17 save games in this postseason. Gergar gets one back quickly. It's 11-9, 53 seconds to go. The door still ajar, and now it's on the face-off man, Arceri, coming out to take the draw for Penn.
That's why it's such a conflicting type of opinion when you're up 2 with a little bit over a minute. Do you shoot to score? Well, Boswell gives you the 3-goal lead, but now you're not guaranteed the ball again. That's the issue. Like if Boswell exhausts the clock, nothing's more important than the ball.
You're still asking a team to score, what, about 3 goals in a minute? That's a tall task.
But it's possible.
Arceri wins it to himself, accelerates ahead. And a timeout called by Mike Murphy before the pass.
Just got it in.
48 seconds to go. If you know Penn, you know there's going to be late game drama, and they're going to make this thing interesting.
See, when you have the ball in your Rutgers, if you can just get that clock down to the final seconds, you don't have to deal with the face-off situation. Rutgers is under 50% at the face-off dot this season. Penn has life.
And if you're Penn, you're thinking, if we score here, we've won 16 out of 24 at the face-off X today. But you've got 48 seconds. You don't have much time. The stakes, the winner to the national semifinals, championship weekend. Rutgers has never been there. Penn has been there once, 1988. They played Syracuse in the semis, the famous Air Gate game. Later today, Yale and Princeton. Tomorrow, Cornell, Delaware. Delaware head coach Ben DeLuca was a former Cornell head coach. And then the piece de resistance, Maryland, Virginia. A rematch of last year's championship. To a lot of folks, that feels like a de facto championship game. We get to see it in the quarterfinals.
You mentioned that Penn 1988 semifinal appearance. John Canaris was in the goal. He played so well. Chris Flynn at the midfield was the Ivy League Player of the Year in 2 sports, in football and lacrosse. Gary Gate, the famous Air Gate shot. Rutgers, as the Kurtz family looks along, they've never been to championship weekend. Right now, here's the deal. If Sam Hanley doesn't start with the ball, you have to shut him off. You can't let him touch the ball. You cannot let 26 in white touch the ball.
Shipley will trigger. Roaring down the alley. Stick checked away. It's a roll. The cause turnover. Rutgers has it up 2. Gene Felix can't handle the pass. Canet retrieves. 30 seconds. Penn out of timeouts. Over to the wing. Shipley fires. Save. Cursed. It'll stay with Penn.
Top number 37, James Shipley.
20 seconds and change, and Hanley with the ball in his cross. Here comes Hanley. 6'5", 230. Trail check from behind to dislodge it on the shot. It stays with Penn, and Rutgers wants a timeout. 13.3 seconds to go. Brian Brecht and the Scarlet Knights can taste East Hartford and championship weekend. What's this timeout about for Rutgers?
It's resetting. You can't take them to the bus. The only deal for me is looking from the press box. Penn looks exhausted. Sam Hanley looks exhausted. With 13 seconds left, you give them time to kind of recharge.
If you're Rutgers, you play zone here, right?
You play zone, but you have to shade to Hanley. That's just great defense by Ethan Rawl. The issue here, Anish, as Hanley gets to the goal, but the trail check, Rutgers doesn't play a ton of zone. So sometimes you ask a team to get out of their comfort zone. They've been really effective in the second half playing man. And you could shut Hanley off if he doesn't start with the ball, play 5-on-5.
The Kurst family, Connor, Michelle, there's mom with the glasses, the striped dress, dancing in the background. Her son Colin today, 18 saves, 7 in the 4th quarter. We told you early in the game, Colin starts his day with a handcrafted coffee every morning. He and roommate Ross Scott. 7 4th quarter saves. Coffee indeed is for closers.
But up 2, if you go zone, you're basically putting Penn in a situation to exhaust the clock, right? Because then you have to get into your flow, into your zone offense. How are you going to do that?
You don't have time.
Yeah, if you go man, you could go to the goal right away, and maybe with 6-7 seconds left, go back to the face-off dot. So zone makes sense.
It looks like Rutgers, though, comes out in a man-to-man. Hanley feeding inside for Gergar. It's off the mark. In the crease, Rutgers ball. Kurst heaves it high in the air. Rutgers riding Thunder Road to championship weekend. The Scarlet Knights in the national semifinals for the first time.
The heartbreak for Penn. The last time they had a full season was 2019. They lost in this round by a goal to Yale. Rutgers on this field last year against North Carolina, to lose by a goal, to be in this very same situation a year later and stamp the school's first